Hi folks, this is Karim Raouf from IT Visualizer channel. Visualizer channel. Today we'll continue our lab, the Tron Legacy lab. This is the 6th video. We have been discussing in the previous video the following. We have created a virtual machine and we have installed Windows 10 LTSC 2019 Enterprise on it, and then we join it to the domain. Okay, why we do this? Because we will migrate this workstation from the old domain, which is incom mf domain, to the new domain, which is incom mf version 2 domain. Okay, and also the Windows 10 profiles or user profiles on this machine will also be migrated from the old domain, which is incom mf domain, to the new domain incom mf version 2. Okay, this is using the ADMT tool or Active Directory Migration tool. And then we allow this virtual machine to take an IP address from the DHCP by putting it in the allow filter option. What is the allow filter option? We have said before that we can configure the DHCP to give certain workstations IP address and deny certain workstations to take an IP address by using the MAC address of the network card for the virtual machine. For example, if you have a virtual machine or a normal machine that has a network card, for example, called X, you can put the MAC address, which is X, in the allow filter in the DHCP option. So by doing this, you are telling the DHCP to give this workstation an IP address. You can do the opposite by putting the MAC address of this virtual machine or machine in the deny filter. This will tell the DHCP not to give this workstation an IP address. Okay. Then after joining this workstation to the incom mf domain, we have seen the different group policies that we have been configuring in the previous videos, how they are in effect, and we also have seen how the Active Directory login script work on this virtual machine. We had said before, the workstation or the login script on the workstation have different things to be done. It will install for example, the keyboard, English and Arabic keyboard layout when the user logs in on the machine for the first time, and then it will disable the Cortana or hide the Cortana, and it will change the time zone of the machine to Cairo time zone, and different things this login script does when the user logs in with his Active Directory username on the machine for the first time. And then in the process of preparing for our migration, or for preparing the migration of workstations and computers and everything in the domain from incom mf domain to incom mf version 2 domain, we have exported our DHCP configuration using the PowerShell script, and we have exported the group policies also. We export the DHCP server configuration because in our new domain we will make a new DHCP server, and then we will import this exported DHCP server configuration to our newly created DHCP server, which will be in our new domain, which will be incom mf version 2. And then we have exported also the group policies from the incom mf domain, and then we will import it to the new domain, which is incom mf version 2. So we are preparing to migrate DHCP and group policies to incom mf version 2 domain. And at the end, we have created a virtual machine, a new virtual machine. This virtual machine will be our new domain controller in our new domain, in our new forest, which we will call it incom mf version 2.local. This will be the domain, and this virtual machine will be the first domain controller in this domain, and this also will be the first domain in the first forest. Okay, so we'll have create a new virtual machine, and then we'll add 2 network cards, and we will make teaming between them for redundancy, and then we will install Windows Server 2019 data center on it, and then we'll prepare it to be the first domain controller in the new domain incom mf version 2. So now we are preparing, or we have installed the first domain controller in our new domain, which is incom mf version 2. We need to prepare this domain controller to be ready, so we can migrate all objects from the incom mf domain, which is the old domain, to this new domain. We will migrate the Active Directory objects, and we will migrate the DHCP server, and we will migrate a lot of things. I can show you all first in a graph. This graph will illustrate better. So here, for example, let's show us something. Here we can see that this is our old domain, which is mcom.mf.local, and we have our, this is my laptop, and then I have the Hyper-V program installed on it. And then through the Hyper-V environment we have the domain, which is mcom.mf.local. we have two virtual machines, which is HDSS Win OS S01. this has the DNS, the WINS, the DHCP, the group policy management. We will migrate all of these services, okay, to the new domain. And then we have a workstation, which is HDSS DMCS01, which is a workstation that contains Windows 10 that was joined to the domain of mcom.mf.local. Will migrate all through this workstation from the domain of mcom.mf.local to the new domain, which is mcom.mf version 2.local. These two virtual machines are attached to our Hyper-V type internal switch, and the name of this Hyper-V internal switch, it's named DC internal switch. And my laptop is also connected to this Hyper-V internal switch, so I can communicate from my laptop. My laptop I can communicate with these two virtual machines. So we need to create, or we need to migrate all of these domain environments. We will migrate the DHCP, we'll migrate the DNS, we'll migrate the WINS, we'll migrate all of the group policies, and we'll migrate also the file server. This is also, it contains a file server, some department shares and user home directory folders. We'll migrate all of these services and shares, okay, and this workstation from one domain, which is mcom.mf.local, to the new domain, which is mcom, or we will name it, which is mcom.mf version 2. This is, I will show you all why I have changed the name of the domain to incom grade new, but hold with me. So here, this is our new domain. We have also, it's on my laptop on the Hyper-V program, and then we have the new domain controller in our new domain, which is incom grid new.local. This server, it has IP 10.0.1.21. we will have also the same services installed on it. So we'll migrate the old DNS to here, and we will migrate the old DHCP to here, and we'll migrate the WINS to here, and we'll migrate the group policy objects to here, okay. So this will be our new server, or our new domain controller in our new domain, and we will name it HDSS D1 OSS 01IN. this is, or the new one. And then we'll migrate the old, or the workstation, from the domain of incom.mf. this one we'll migrate it from here, from this workstation, from this mcom.mf.local. we will migrate it here to this incom grade.new.local through here, okay. So we will do this using the Active Directory migration tool. So we'll migrate all of the group policy objects, computers, users, and so on, and workstations using the Active Directory migration tool. And as for the services, the DHCP and the group policy and the other things, we will use PowerShell scripts, okay. Let me show you all also a little bit of a graph that will illustrate this more. So here, for example, here we can see that we can get a little bit of here of a graph. Let's see, okay, here. So here we can see that this is our domain, okay. This is our let me show you all, sorry, this is our old domain, which is mcom.mf.local. we have the two, our domain controller and our workstation. Here our domain controller will have the DHCP server. We will export the DHCP server using PowerShell commands, and then we will also, on this server contains group policies. We will export these group policies, or backup and export these group policies using the group policy management console. We have done this in a previous video. And then we have the department shares and user home directory folders. We will copy these folders from the old domain to the new domain, and then we will apply some PowerShell scripts to put NTFS and SMB share permissions on it, okay. So these three steps we will do it using PowerShell scripts, okay. And as for the Active Directory, here we can see that this is our Active Directory, and this is the users of the Active Directory, the groups, the computers, the servers. All of this will be migrated using the Active Directory migration tool, okay. And how this will be done, we will go to the new domain, so we need to create a new domain first. This will be our new domain, which is income grid new.local. We will have our domain controller, okay, and we will name it and give it an IP address, and then we will only install Active Directory on it. This is the one. And then we need to make a trust, okay, between this domain and this domain, which is something called forest trust, okay. This is the first thing to do, and then we will use the Active Directory migration tool. This is the Active Directory migration tool to take, okay, what we can see here. We use the Active Directory migration to take all of these groups, okay, or Active Directory users, groups, and computers. Using this Active Directory migration tool, we will set it up on the old domain and on the new domain, okay, and then it will migrate all of this from here to here, okay. But before doing this, we need to make a forest trust, okay, a forest trust between these two, okay. So this is basically what we will do in this video. We will just continue working with our new domain controller and our new domain. We will begin doing some steps preparing it for migration, before making a forest trust between the two domains, and then we will begin working with the Active Directory migration tool, okay. So we will see how this will be done. So let's begin our video. Just a moment. So let's continue our lab here. We will begin the preparation of the new domain controller in the new domain, which is income mf version 2.local. We will just make some changes. So after doing these changes, we will make a trust between the new domain controller and our new domain, which is income mf version 2. We will make a trust with the old domain controller in the old domain, which is income mf.local. We will see that in a moment. So we will start the new domain controller in the new domain, which is income version 2.local. Here we make Control Alt Delete and then full screen, and then we will log into the new domain controller in our new domain, which is income mf version 2. This is the administrator account. Remember, I told you before that I have named this new domain controller with a typical or the same server name as the old domain controller, and this will make problems. I will show you all in upcoming minutes how this will make a problem. The trust between the two domains will not be established. Oh, so let's continue. Here we will begin. Sorry, just making sure that I am recording. Okay, here we go. So here we'll just go to the network and sharing center and open the network connection for the domain controller, and then we will make sure that the IP of the DNS server is correct. This server, it is a domain controller and the DNS server, so we just change the IP of prepared DNS from 127.0.0.1 to 10.0.1.21. By the way, it is the same. If you leave it 127.0.0.1, it will work, and if you put 10.0.1.21, it will work. But just because I will add another DNS or additional DNS server, so I need everything to be in order, or I can see it properly. He will make a custom console. We have done this before with the old domain controller, and we will add all of the different Active Directory tools. So we will open run and then open the start and then run and then type MMC, and then we will begin adding different Active Directory tools. We will add Active Directory domains and trusts, the Active Directory users and computers, and then DNS, and we will add the computer management console, and we will add the WINS, also the group policy management console, and the event viewer. Okay, then group policy management, and we will add the services as well. Then finish. We will add, still we didn't add the WINS server, or we didn't install the WINS server role. So now we will save the console. And then we will go to the DNS and make a new reverse lookup zone. Just a moment. Sorry, let's continue, guys. I'm having a little bit of a cold. Okay, so here we will make a new reverse lookup zone. It will be network ID 10.0.1. Next, and then this is the reverse lookup zone. So now we have our domain controller, we have a DNS, we have a reverse DNS. And then here we can see that we have our domain controller, Active Directory objects. Here we will add the WINS server role. So now I think we will begin. We will create our Active Directory group policy central store location. Okay, we have done this with the old domain controller, so we will make something called Active Directory group policy central store. Okay, first of all, I am copying all of the scripts. Okay, I have from the old domain controller to the new domain controller. We will use these scripts to migrate a lot of things. This is very useful scripts. I will show you all how we will use it. Here, first of all, I will install the classic shell. I have told you before, classic shell, it makes the Windows 10 start menu and the Windows Server start menu looks like the Windows 7 start menu. Okay, so this is the main function of the classic shell program, and we will also install the 7-zip. This is a compressing program that compress and decompress zipped files. So So all of this we are preparing the new domain controller before begin the migration process between the new domain and the old domain. So finish, and then we will install the classic shell. Then simultaneously we will begin adding the Wins server role. Okay, and then we will install the classic shell. And then next, and then install. This is the Wins server, and we said before Wins, it is the old version of the DNS. It's not used anymore, but it is used in some cases. Here we will open our old domain controller in our old domain, which is incom.mf.local. So we'll open the run, and then we will get some scripts from my host, which is the laptop. We'll just play with some setting of the classic shell, because I need, when I right click the start menu, I need to have the WinX menu appearing. So this can be configured from the classic shell setting. So here we will go to the show all setting, and then go to controls, and then we will activate right click options. Will open WinX menu. So here, this is my host hard disk, and this is a shared folder that contains all of my scripts that I use in my lab. So here we will, as I said before, we will create Active Directory, group policy, central store location, and after creating it, we will copy all of our all of our group policy templates. We have many group policy templates for Firefox, Google Chrome, Classic Shell, Office. All of this we will copy it after creating the Active Directory group policy central store. So we'll copy all of them in the new location of the group policy. So we will have all group policies to control everything in our new domain, not only the Windows setting, but different programs like Firefox, Google Chrome, and so on. So we have done this also in the old domain controller. So this is a bunch of group policy templates. Now we will go and create our Active Directory group policy central store location. We will copy the group policy folder, which is C Windows policy definitions. We will copy this folder and put it in the sysvol folder under policies subfolder, and this will be the new location of the group policy. This location is called group policy central store location. So here, this is, we will copy the folder that contains the Windows group policy templates. We will copy it, and then we will go to the sysvol folder, C Windows sysvol folder. It is shared as share name sysvol. You can access it by typing the domain name / and then you can see the shares, okay, of this domain. One of them is the share of the sysvol folder. I think I can pass it for you all, just a moment. You type it back. Okay, so here mcom mf again. You can type the domain name, or you can type the name of the server. Take care that the name of the new domain controller is the same name as the old domain controller. This will make problems when making migration. Okay, so here is the sysvol folder, and then we will open the mcom mf.local folder, and then the policies folder, and then we will paste the policy definitions folder that contains the Windows group policy templates. And this location, see Windows sysvol folder policy definitions, this will be the new location of the Windows group policy templates. This is called Active Directory group policy central store location. Okay, after doing this, we will copy the different group policy templates from our folder to the Active Directory group policy central store location, the one that we have created from a couple of seconds. All of this I have done with the old domain controller, and all of this has been discussed in the different labs, the Mass Effect lab, the DC Comics lab, the Marvel and DC United lab. So here we will copy the templates. Okay, it's in our D folder. We will copy them and put them in the new group policy templates location. Okay, paste. Take care that I have the two domain controllers with the same server name. This will make problems when making the migration process. Anyway, I don't know if this was a problem, because when I changed the new domain controller server name and the domain itself name, I changed it, the trust and the migration was complete. Okay. So now we have group policy templates the same, so I'm just telling him to skip the group policies that are already there, just add the new ones. So now we have added the Windows server role, and then we need to add the Windows console to our custom console. So we will add and remove snapping. So now we will add the Windows console to our custom console, and then save this console on the desktop. We name it Grid Console or Grid Controller version 2. So we have our new domain controller. We have installed the DNS role on it. We have installed the Windows server role on it. We need to go to the network setting of the server, or network connection properties of the server, and add the Windows server IP to the network connection of the server. We will go to the internet protocol,
and then advance, and then wins, and then we will tell him enable NetBIOS over TCP/IP and add. Here we will add the wins server IP to the network connection of the server, which also contains the IP address of the DNS server. So now we have added the IP of the wins server to the network connection of the server. And then run. Then I will go to my old domain controller on the D partition exactly to get some scripts I need. And not only the scripts, I will copy the department shares folder or the department share folders and the user home directory folders. I will copy them from the old domain controller to the new domain controller, and after that we will run some scripts to put the different NTFS and SMB share permissions on them. Okay, so here I am providing him with my domain admin account on the old domain controller. Okay, so I can copy here. I will copy the scripts, and not only the scripts that I use in the beginning of the lab, but I also will copy the department share folders and the user home directory folders. I will copy them as well, and we will use some scripts to apply different NTFS and SMB share permissions. Okay. So now we will pin the server manager to our taskbar, and we will pin the PowerShell program to our taskbar as well. We will use it later. So here I'm copying the folder of the scripts. We will need it, the PowerShell scripts I used in the beginning of the lab, because I will use the same scripts to put different NTFS and SMB share permissions on the copied department shares and user home directory folders. After changing the scripts, of course, we will change some things in the scripts. I will show you all what the change that we will do. Run as administrator. The first step for the migration process to do, if we want to migrate Active Directory users, groups and computers from one domain to another, the first thing to do that we need to create the same organizational units in the new domain controller, the same as the old domain controller. So we need to create our organizational units in our old domain controller. These need to be created again in our new domain controller. So we will use this script to create our organizational units again in our new domain controller. So this will be done, but we need first to edit this script, because the script was applied to the old domain controller. So we need to modify this script to create the same organizational units in the old domain controller, but with the new setting of the new domain controller. I will show you all something here. Just wait for a moment. Here we can see that there is some errors. He is saying that the script is not correct, because I said before the script was used to create organizational units in the old domain controller. So we need to modify the script to create organizational units in the new domain controller. Here we can see that every organizational unit and its location, so we need to change the domain from mcom-mf to mcom-mf version 2. so this is all are the different organizational units, and this is their location, so we need to change the mcom-mf to mcom-mf version 2 in all of the organizational units. Okay, and then you use the script to create it. So the first step for the migration, you need to have the exact organizational units in both domains, the old domain and the new domain. So you need to have organizational units in the old domain and the exact same organizational units in the new domain controller. Okay, in the new domain. Okay, and the organizational units will not be migrated. Okay, so this step you need to do it manually. Okay. So here, if you can go and see our Active Directory, we will see that the organizational units are created, but we need to make a refresh. So again, the organizational units of the Active Directory cannot be migrated using the Active Directory migration tool. You need to create the organizational units in the new domain controller in the new domain manually, or using a script as I am doing now. And I will utilize that this script was used to create organizational units in the old domain controller. I will utilize the same partial script to create the same organizational units in the new domain controller in the new domain. Okay, and then I have copied, as I said before, the script, or I have copied the folder that contains my scripts that I use it to create different organizational units and different groups and different users in the old domain controller. I will copy them as well in the new domain controller. What I am doing now, this folder is called backgrounds. This contains different registry keys that my login script will use, or the Active Directory login script will use to apply some setting to the user or every user in the domain. So this folder I have shared it before in the old domain controller and in the old domain. So now I have a copy of it and I will share it again. Okay, so the users can access the Active Directory login script and they can apply the different registry keys. Just a moment. Sorry, let's continue, guys. So this is the folder that's called backgrounds. This contains a couple of registry keys the Active Directory login script will use to apply certain setting to every Active Directory user that logs in on any machine for the first time. As I said before, I have discussed that these registry keys will change the time zone to Cairo time zone. It will add the keyboard English and Arabic keyboard layout will be added, and the Cortana will be hidden, and a couple of things. And this folder also contains the backgrounds, the unified background and the screensavers and the lock screens. So this folder contains the background, the lock screen and the screensaver that I need to apply to all of the Active Directory users in my domain. So this is the folder that contains the registry keys and the backgrounds, and I need to share it, okay, so the users can access it and apply the registry keys and the backgrounds and lock screens and lock screen and screensaver to be applied to them as well. So we will share them and we'll give them the NTFS share permissions and SMB share permissions. Okay, so here we will have a group called domain users. This is an Active Directory built-in group that contains all of the Active Directory users in the domain. So we will give this group a read permission on the backgrounds folder. Okay, we will remove everyone and add domain users. Okay, and we'll give them read permission. This is in the SMB share permission, and as for the NTFS share permissions, we will give them also read. We have done this in the old domain controller in the old domain controller in the old domain. Okay, we have done this also before in the beginning of the series or beginning of the lab. So we will have the domain users, and then we will copy the login script also from the old domain and put it to the new domain, so everything will be ready. As soon as we create the Active Directory users, we will attach this login script to all of them, so it also will be applied to them in the new domain controller. So this or in the new domain, so this script will also be applied to them in the new domain controller. Here what we will do, I have a program that's called idle logoff. I said before, it's a program that logs off the machine after 3000 seconds. This program should be put in the C folder idle logoff. The program is called idle logoff.exe. The login script will initialize this program, so there is a line in the script or in the login script that will initialize this program from this location as soon as the user logs in to the machine. So we need to create a folder with the name of the program. So this is idle logoff, and then we will create a folder with the same name, because the script contains a line that it will go to the C folder named idle logoff and then begin the program of idle logoff, and then this program will keep watching the machine until it is idle for 3000 seconds. It will log off it automatically. Okay, so here we'll make a small refresh so we can see the organizational units that we have created. So here we are preparing the new domain environment. We are copying the login scripts. We are copying the scripts of the Active Directory itself. We are creating the organizational units. We are creating the Active Directory group policy center restore location. All of this we are preparing it for the final migration. So we can be ready. Here I'm just closing and opening the console, so we can see that the organizational units are created. So here we are preparing the new domain controller. We are preparing the group policy center restore location. We are copying the group policy templates. We are preparing the Active Directory login script. We are preparing the DNS reverse lookup zone. We are preparing the WINS server. We are preparing we are installing the classic shell and the 7-zip. So here we are preparing the new domain controller to be ready for the final migration, or to be ready before installing the Active Directory migration tool. So I think here we are just preparing. Yes, okay. So here we will open the again the console. So here we can see that the same organizational units are created. So when we use the Active Directory migration tool, we will just copy from the old organizational unit to the new organizational unit, and they have the same organizational unit structure in the old domain controller and the new domain controller. So they are the same. Okay. So this concludes for the preparation of the domain controller or the new domain controller. We will begin now the phase of the migration. Okay, I will just the next video here we will begin it. So just here we need to make sure first, I need to tell you something in the graph here. The first step in the migration, we need to put the DNS setting on all the C's. What I mean by this, we need to open the old domain controller and the network connection setting of the old domain controller, and put the DNS of the new domain controller in it to be the secondary domain, secondary DNS server. Okay, and make the opposite. Go to the network connection setting on the new domain controller and put the DNS of the old domain controller to be a secondary DNS in the network connection setting of the new domain controller. I will see that in a moment. I will show you all. This is very critical before making the trust. So we will put every DNS of every domain controller in the network connection setting of both of them, and after that we will make a trust. We will make a trust between the two domains using the Active Directory we will make a trust between them using something called Active Directory Trust console. I will show you all this, so don't worry. Here you go. So first of all, also another thing to prepare the new domain controller, we will copy the department share folders and the user home directory folders. We will copy them and put them in the new domain controller, and in advance or in upcoming videos we will use the PowerShell scripts to give the necessary NTFS and SMB share permissions, of course after tweaking the PowerShell script to reflect the new domain controller name or the new domain name. Okay, so here what we will do, we'll go to the scripts. Okay, this is the login script we have used in the old domain controller. We will copy it in the sysvol folder under scripts folder. So this is the location that the Active Directory will go and search for the login script, or the Active Directory users will implement the Active Directory login script from the location of C Windows sysvol scripts folder. Okay, so this is the old domain controller and this is the new domain controller. We will take a checkpoint for both of the domain controllers, the old and the new, before making the migration process. So if anything happens, we can return back to the checkpoint, or we can return the virtual machine to this checkpoint before beginning the migration if anything happens wrong with the migration. So here we will rename it before migration. And then we will go to the second one and we will make another checkpoint and we will name it before migration. Always make sure, if you are making a critical step, to take checkpoints or regular checkpoints. Okay, and after that we need to put the DNS of the old domain controller in the network connection of the new domain controller, and put the DNS of the new domain controller in the network connection setting of the old domain controller. Okay, vice versa. I will show you all this, and then after that we'll make a trust. Okay, and to show you all how this will be done, this is the new domain controller. So what we will do, we will go now and copy the login script first. So we are preparing the login script in the new domain like we have done in the old domain before. So we will copy the login script and put it in the C Windows sysvol folder, scripts folder, or we can access the sysvol share name, which is named sysvol. Okay, here is the name of the domain controller. Take care that the domain controller, the old domain controller and the new domain controller have the same server name. So here we will go to the net login and then we will put the script, the login script here. Okay, I need to make sure that the script is correct. Okay, because as I said before, the script will go to the backgrounds folder to run some certain registry keys, so we need to make sure that the shared background folders is correct. For my good luck, the same, they have the same server name, so we don't need to change the share name of the backgrounds. I have shared this folder from a couple of seconds and the same server name it is here applied, but this same server name will make a problem with me when I try to migrate. Here I am running the script, so I can apply the different setting. You will see that this PC will be changed. The icon that is named this PC will be changed to reflect the computer name. We will make a small refresh. Here we can see that the name of the PC has been changed. This PC is changed to reflect the computer name of the server. And then here what we will do, we will go and check okay, the best performance setting that the login script does. So now the login script is applied. So now we have prepared the new domain controller. We need now to put the DNS of the old domain controller in the new domain controller, and put the DNS of the new domain controller in the old domain controller. We are doing this to facilitate the trust. So the trust between the two domains will not be done unless both DNS servers are in their network connection setting. Okay, so you need to put the old DNS server in the network connection of the new domain controller, and we need to put the DNS of the new domain controller in the old domain controller network connection setting. We will see that in a moment, and then after that we can make the trust. The trust will not be done unless both domain controllers DNS are in both network connections. Okay. So I think here we can pause it real quickly. So now we will go now to the network connection. Okay. And then go to the setting. Okay. This is the new domain controller. In our new domain we'll go to the properties. Okay. And then we go to the TCP/IP properties, and then we will put the DNS of the old domain controller, okay, in our old domain. Okay, so it is 1.20. okay, and then we will do vice versa. And also we have our wins. We have wins also in the old domain controller and wins of the new domain controller. Anyway, so now we have put the old DNS of our old domain controller in the network connection setting of the new domain controller. We will go to the old domain controller, the other one, and we'll put the DNS of the new domain controller in its network connection setting. Okay, and then after that we'll initialize the trust between the two forests or the two domains in the two forests. So now we will go there. Okay, and as we will see after doing this or making the trust will fail because the two domain controllers are with the same name, the old domain controller and the new domain controller. Well, that seems to me because when I changed the name of the new domain controller and changed also the domain name of the new domain controller, the trust was successful. We will discuss this in the upcoming video, but now we will I will show you the error when we make the trust. So why we are putting both DNS in both domain controllers? So they can be able to query or to see every PC and server in the domain. Okay, because the DNS, it is the key or it contains records of all of the servers and workstations and their IPs in every domain. Okay, so this is a very critical step for the trust to be working. Okay. So anyway, I think we didn't put still the DNS. Okay, just a moment. So here what just I'm doing here, I am doing also another step. To do the migration process, you need to have in both domains, okay, the old domain and the new domain, a user that have the rights to migrate. Okay, so you need to have an Active Directory user account that has full access to the Active Directory in his domain. Okay, for example, here in the old domain controller, K. Raouf has full access on the mcom mf.local domain. So he's the domain admin of mcom mf.local. He will do the migration process. As for the new domain mcom mf version 2.local, I will create a user, and this user will be a domain admin, an enterprise admin, and a schema admin. so we will have the full rights to migrate also from his side. So we need two domain admins, one from the old domain and one from the new domain, and these two domain admins will be responsible for making the migration process. Okay, so now we will create a user, and this user here, he is the one to be responsible for migrating users from the old domain. So for the migration process to begin, we need to have a domain admin that is responsible for the migration from the old domain, and the domain admin which is responsible for migrating the users from the new domain. So now we are making a user. This user, we will put it in the different Active Directory built-in groups, so he can be a domain admin, an enterprise admin, and a scheme admin. By doing this, I giving him full rights to the new domain, or give him full rights to the Active Directory on my new domain. So here we will add this user to the domain admins group and then we will add it to the enterprise admin groups. You can create a migration or Active Directory username to be only responsible for the migration, but anyway I will have a domain admin account anyway in this domain, so I will make it responsible for the migration process from the new domain side and from the old domain side. Okay, so here we have put this user in the domain admins, enterprise admins, and schema admins, and also will be a member of the administrators group also. Okay, administrators group, and then we will add also this user here. Anyway, because I have added it already to the domain admins and enterprise admins, these groups are already a member of the administrators group anyway, so I don't need to do this step, but I have done it already. And then we need to go to the old domain controller and put in its network connection setting the DNS of our new domain controller. So for the migration process to or for the trust to work perfectly, we need the DNSs to be in both domains, and we need to have a user responsible for the migration process. This user should have full domain rights in both domains. Okay, so you go to the network connection setting, okay, and here now again to the network connection setting, and then we will add the internet protocol, and then we add the DNS server of our new domain controller or our new domain, which will be 21. Okay, the DNS, you are correct. And then we should make a trust. After doing this, we can begin the trust process, which will fail because the two domains, or as I suspect, the two domain controllers, the old domain controller and the new domain controller, are having the same name. This is the video that I am using as a reference. You can see the name, it's called Vicas. I will give you the name of this user that had made the video. Here we will have our Active Directory domains and trust console. We will right click on properties and then trust and tell him new trust. Here we'll tell him next. He will tell him what domain I need to make trust with, which is m.mf.local. Okay, this will be the domain that I make trust with. Okay, and then here he's telling me what is the user that you will use. Okay, so here there is something. Here I'm just making sure that the Windows Defender or the Windows Firewall is closed on both domains, this is only a temporary step, so the trust can be made completely or successfully. Then we can open then again. It is asking me what is the specified user that will be used in the old domain to make the trust or to make the migration. So here I am typing my domain admin in the old domain, which is KRAO. He is the one to be responsible for migrating the old users, groups and computers from the old domain to the new domain. Okay, so here I am specifying the user, and then this is the password. Next. And then it's an external trust. What do you mean by external trust? It is a trust between, it is a forest trust, it's not external trust, this is a forest trust. It is a trust between two forests, okay, two Active Directory forests. The external trust, it is done between it is a non-authoritative between a domain and another domain outside the forest, okay, between two forests that allow users, okay, we will use the forest trust anyway, and then we will make it two ways, so the trust in two ways, okay, and then we will have the option of both of these domains. This creates trust relationship in both local and specified domains. You must have trust creation privileges. So we are making trust two ways, okay, between the old domain and the new domain. So we'll tell him both this domain and specified domain, and then tell him next. I think it is okay. So I'm just revising my video anyway, but when we try to complete the trust, tell him next, and then he is asking me again for the user that I will use to migrate all the Active Directory users and groups. So this is the same, okay, I'm just repeating the step. So again, sorry, again. So here tell him next. ايوه ثانية واحدة حاضر. So here let's continue. Here we tell him forest wide authentication, and next. Next, and then we tell him next. As we see here, after a couple of minutes he say that cannot continue, there is an error, okay. So I will show you all how we can fix this problem in the upcoming video. Hope this video was informative from you all and informative for you all, and would like to thank you all for viewing. Thank you so much.